Good evening. It's January 14th, 2026. Hard to believe that that's true, but here we are. It is 4:01 in the afternoon, and we are here today for our Academic Affairs Committee meeting of the Board of School Directors. I'm Damian Johnston, your host for this meeting. I serve as the Assistant Superintendent, and today we have a busy agenda. I wanted to start with introductions because some of our new board members are joining us, and I want to make sure everyone knows everyone in the room. We're going to talk about the curriculum review process, and then I do have some curriculum updates for you. The high school staff and administrators are here tonight to talk about a couple of proposed updates from their end. We have some additional course proposals to bring you beyond those in curriculum revision. And then our middle school principal and assistant principal are also going to join us to talk about a couple of pieces of the transition into next year for the middle school. And so with everyone's okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Gus, you want to introduce yourself to KD and to the community as our student representative who's here today?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Gus May. I'm an 11th grader at the high school, and I attend these meetings. I offer kind of just a student perspective for you guys to take in. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
doing it.
We have a second member of the committee who serves as a student. One of our second student representative is Jordana. She is participating in Montgomery County Band, and they had rehearsal this afternoon, so she is not able to join us, but I did hear from her. I did share the agenda and slides with Gus and Jordana because there's a lot around the high school, and I really don't want to make sure they had an opportunity to weigh in and share any thoughts they might have. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. I thought it would be helpful to talk a little bit about curriculum review because we're going to look at two major projects. And Katie, as the newest member of the team, I wanted to make sure you felt clear on sort of what we were asking and sort of what the board's role was in the process. And so we're really proud of this curriculum review process here in Springfield because one of the things we do is work to bring all the relevant parties together. I have colleagues across the county and the nation who choose to do things and exclude teachers and instructional staff from curriculum revision. On the converse here, they're heavily and greatly involved and are often the primary source of the curriculum work, and we'll talk about that today. Building and district administrators are involved. We almost always survey students and get student feedback on the curriculum process along the way to highlight our priorities. And then certainly once we have sort of drafted out the courses, we bring them just for overview feedback, making sure that what we're putting in place aligns to sort of board goals or the community goals. And so one of the reasons that we're so proud of that is because it helps us to make sure that we have great buy-in from our students, our staff, our administrators, and then of course our board and community in collectively wanting the best for all of our students. And so we use a research-based cycle based on sort of an approach that allows us to study, plan, implement, and then continuously focus on improvement. And so that process has been in place since I've been the assistant superintendent, and Dr. Yannicone before me brought some of that work with her. And so over the last 8 to 10 years, we've really tried to have a systematic way of reviewing each area of curriculum, mapping out its timeline, and giving it its due diligence. So as I said, it's a 4-phase process. We start usually the spring-ish before the actual curriculum year to review and study. Where are we? What's been happening? We then move into sort of the second phase, which is planning and developing the curricular area. We then sort of implement and then monitor and improve. And so throughout this process, we come in back to the Board of School Directors or Academic Affairs to share updates on today. Our proposed course overviews, which once approved drives the faculty back into unit and direct instructional planning and resource selection. And then once the resource has been selected or prioritized, we bring it back to the board for approval if there's a core resource that's going to expend public dollars to get that. And then once we've implemented, we plan the professional learning for effectiveness and then continue to establish accountability in terms of what would good implementation look like. So that's how we monitor, improve, and then we start all over again. Most curricular areas in Springfield are reviewed every 7 to 8 years. So we look at a 70-year cycle per area. So what I'm asking from all of you is really to approve major curriculum recommendations. I'm asking for you to ask us questions. It's helpful to us to work through what are we not seeing or what did we not think about. We'll continue to update you on progress and bring reports. And then, of course, I'll be back later to ask for resources in order to implement some of these things. While that's less of an issue with the discussions tonight, in other times, a few years ago, when we brought forward our ELA recommendation at the elementary school, there was a strong financial component and commitment from the board to support that implementation. And in this time next year, I anticipate bringing a recommendation, for example, for elementary and middle school mathematics. And so that will have quite a ticket. It's a high ticket item. So, and then I want you to always help me make sure I didn't miss a step. Like, are we following through? Is it public and transparent? And folks have had the opportunity to be aware of what we're doing. So we've really tried to build out public and transparent curriculum pages so that families have access to the information of what's happening for their children and our planned course of study. Questions about the process? Concerns? Anything I skipped over? Dr. Yannicone, did I miss anything? Okay.
Is your 7 to 8 year cycle, is that public, or is that something that
It's public.
we can see? Okay. Like which
Well, it's on the
subjects are up
website under
when?
curriculum review process, probably.
Nice. Okay.
One of those.
Oh, great.
It's
Okay,
linked and it's one of the it's towards the end. It's a longer document, but it has the cycle. I'm due to update it for this year.
How do you feel pretty successful in like sticking to that cycle, or do you have to kick the can down the road?
We definitely hit some hiccups in the early days coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
It was a little more difficult for us to get where we wanted to go. And our greatest challenge is making sure, because we are small but mighty, that we have the infrastructure to support high quality implementation. Okay. So for example, we would have done K-8 mathematics this year, but that was a heavy lift for our teachers at the elementary level to think that we were going to do that simultaneous to the CKLA implementation. So we pushed it back a year for that, but we thought about it, talked about it, and then made a decision. Okay. Other questions for me? In full disclosure, on any other given night, I would have lots of faculty members here to talk about their projects, but there are so many courses and so many materials that already they had the opportunity, they were invited to join, but as you might imagine, they begged off. So all of this work is from our faculty, and I will continue to reiterate that as we go and give credit to them because they did extraordinary work. Our instructional coaches really support our teachers in this work because our teachers aren't curriculum developers, but they are knowers of their students. So the faculty bring forward their priorities, we get student feedback, and we landed here in what I'm going to present to you as overarching course overviews. Katie asked me about the timeline. Physical education has been on the map for about 18 months or so, but that took us a long time to really take the student feedback, figure out what we wanted to put in writing and where do we want to make some shifts. And so the first project I have for you is that our K-12 physical education teachers, they are our health and physical education teachers, but we only did physical education. We're going to do health next. And they really wanted to make sure that we aligned ourselves to the national standards in addition to Pennsylvania standards. The new SHAPE standards have been out for a number of years. Pennsylvania is close to adoption, but we're not there yet. But so they really wanted to look at their work being sort of future facing and recognizing that health and wellness and physical fitness are all interconnected in order to have sort of successful wellness and belonging over time. And so each grade band has a course summary and overview that's available to you. I did share it with the board in advance so that you could take a sneak peek, but really laying out sort of what's going to happen in each of those grades. And so for K2, it's really around Mr. Schwartz, when he did his work, wanted to build a solid foundation. He wanted kids to find confidence, even if that, and usually kindergarten, first and second graders are confident. Physically, that's how they are most confident. But he really wanted them to be able to be safe, make good decisions, and cooperate, while also understanding that joy and and pleasure that comes from being well and being active. And so he really has created a space at the, if you've ever been anywhere near Enfield's gym during a physical education class, he uses technology, he uses music, he uses materials, but he keeps it rich and exciting, but also has really clear expectations of how kids will start and stop an activity to keep safety at the forefront. His work was to build it out so that Mr. Cruson would have success here at Erdenheim. I'm at Erdenheim today, at Erdenheim in the 3, 4, and 5 building. And he really takes what has been happening and as a veteran member of the team, really how do you apply those skills and teaching rules and understanding why rules matter and how that allows more depth of the game or the activity. Mr. Cruson loves it. He has never met an obstacle course he doesn't love. And if you've ever been in the Erdenheim gym, you have seen those obstacle courses and all the laughter that comes with it, and the kids love it. But he does that to build their endurance and their confidence because he strongly believes that when we have skills and wellness early on, it will stick with kids. It has that stick with itness later in life. So Mr. Cruson really codified that in his 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And really, as kids are growing and starting to experience some failure or some confidence or some success in some ways and not in others, he really wants them to feel good about their leadership and their goal setting, that not everyone has to have the same goal. So he really builds that out in his 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade course overviews. And he preps them for when they get to the middle school, when things get a little bit more complicated, because formal, and while our community has a strong commitment and visibility of extracurricular athletics outside of school, 7th and 8th grade is where formal athletics in school begin. And so the challenge for the physical education teachers is some kids see themselves as athletes and some kids see themselves not as athletes. And how do they create a physical education program that speaks to both groups of kids, particularly because they're often in the same classes at the same time. And so Mrs. Ify and her new colleague, Mr. Bilski, really wanted to refine that and build that independence so that kids understand, because they're having some more independence in how they navigate it, how they navigate their physical health and well-being, but they continue to build those skills, refine them, get better, but also find different strategies for different kinds of activities, but start to see themselves as it's not just their parents' responsibility to keep them active and well. They're going to have to do a little bit of that on their own. So in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade course overviews, you'll see that language being really powerful and present. And both Mr. Bilski and Mrs. Ify worked really hard to create spaces to honor what they've done in the past, but also keep thinking towards the future. And then the high school, by now, there's sort of that question around where does physical education fit while many students are also athletes. And so they've built out a program that has a shared common landing spot for all 9th graders. So every 9th grader takes 9th grade PE, which allows the kids and their teachers to build their starting relationship. And that's been in place for a couple of years. They refined the course through this curriculum process, but they really wanted a solid place where they could build trust with kids so that they didn't have kids just sort of magically disappearing and opting out and asking for waivers of their physical education courses, because they really believe there are spaces for every kid to be successful in wellness and in health. And so the courses that they're offering at the high school really start with that common understanding of that 9th grade physical education, but then kids also need 2 more physical education courses before they graduate. And so they have an array of options, from team and lifetime sports to net sports and lawn games, aquatics and lifeguarding, where they can earn their certificate to be a lifeguard. They can do strength and conditioning. They can do fitness for life. We have a unified physical education class, which builds on our unified sports and athletics, which is collaboratively taught and co-taught by a special education teacher and a physical education teacher. It is the most popular physical education course we have at the high school. It is over-enrolled every semester. Dr. Scragan is nodding his head if you cannot see him, agreeing that is a hard one for us to have enough sections of to meet the need. which is a wonderful, wonderful problem to have, but it speaks to other pieces about us. And then one of the newest courses we've offered is a little different, which is a more academic physical education course. It's around sports management and medicine for those kids who are beginning to consider professional careers in wellness and health and sports. And how do we utilize that as a way to learn? Phew, that was a lot. And so that is sort of the overview of the K through 12. Uh-oh, something's happening. Oh, I clicked on the document. I am going to show you those just to make sure that the community is aware. All of these become public once they're approved. It provides a course description and overview, our overarching course, essential questions, units of study. The newest version that we've written the most recently also identify mastery skills on the right-hand side there. This one does not have that, but this was written in October and some of them that were written in December. And then we take the profile of a graduate and we map those mastery skills to where can you and how will you in each of these courses master areas of our profile of a graduate aligned to the state standards. And so ultimately, what I bring to you is a comprehensive program for physical education in which we're not only developing physical skills, but also critical thinking and wellness. The idea that fitness is something we all need to care about as a self-care strategy and as a way to sort of have longevity to our lives. And that being in that space really is an opportunity to not only build your teamwork and communication skills, but also to like experience belonging and inclusion of all kinds of kids in all kinds of spaces. Oh, and so we built out a landing page, and this is organizes the overview. All of you have access to these documents as well, and it that allows us to see links to the course, and you can click down the side, which is the overall course overviews, but also some summary documents beginning to build out vertical articulation. What happens and how do these things build over time? Questions, comments, feedback on physical education? Lee.
So, is there now a commitment to have all students do some kind of aquatics? So, having had a child that was in elementary school during COVID, that age group have never ever been near the high school pool at all. Now, a lot of people obviously do swimming outside of school, and I know that's obviously very popular, but is there now a commitment to make sure that water safety, like in the pool, is something that we're doing at the elementary? Because it looks like I briefly looked through some of the course guides, and it looked like certainly fourth grade, there was an element of like water safety, but I didn't know if that involved actually being in the pool or not.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked, Lee. I think this has been one of the most interesting resource struggles I've had as the assistant superintendent is what to do about swim gym.
Yeah.
I have spent more hours about that because I think there are pros and cons. There are so many layers to swim gym that have been complicated. And so what we did was we actually, after consideration from multiple points of view, have codified swim gym and direct swim instruction for a 3-week period in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. We have not done so at the middle school yet, although we have talked about potentially a grade there, doing a unit of aquatics, and 9th grade PE has a unit in aquatics.
Yeah, I did see that for 9th grade. I think it's just such a shame we have like, a pool facility and we've got kids that are the first time they'll go to the pool is 9th grade.
Yeah, that's not 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are all going. They've been going for this year. It's in March this year. This is the 3rd year we've consistently delivered swim gym.
Okay. All right. But it's just that cohort that we're in elementary.
The post-COVID challenges were somewhat, and we had a retirement and some staffing changes. And the difficulty, just quite frankly, is making sure there's adequate adults beyond a lifeguard to provide safe instruction for all the kids when we don't actually know until we get to the pool who can actually swim. because the student saying they can swim and the student being able to stay afloat aren't the same thing.
Yeah.
And so the teachers want to be really careful about that. So how many adults? So the district has made the decision to provide additional staffing for that 3-week period, and that's been working very effectively.
Okay. The other question I have is just about adaptability of the way that the courses are described. So, for example, I know in elementary school that Mr. Cruson did a phenomenal job modifying the curriculum to make sure it was inclusive. It doesn't, from the quick glance that I had, and I didn't go super in depth, there wasn't a lot of kind of, and I don't know whether you want this in there or not, but just a thought around how to make the programs or the sports inclusive for all students, if that makes sense. Because I'm going
to separate out athletic. Help me make sure I'm not confused of PE versus athletics.
I would say this is PE.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a great question. I'll have to look at Mr. Cruson's documents next to the middle school documents, because I would tell you that we've had the same discussion, which is some of that adaptive, that where we attribute universal design or component of meeting kids where they are is not in these course overviews, but in the delivery in terms of the unit development and the curriculum maps and the resources and materials. And then, of course, professional learning and feedback.
Yeah. No, I just think, we've done such a good job, but you kind of can't see it in the course overviews. It's more like, making sure that it's clear that, that is something that we have considered and is definitely a fundamental part of the delivery.
100%.
But, and maybe that, like you say, that's happening like actually when, students are meeting and participating in the classes, etc. But it's kind of just like such a good component to what we offer as a district.
Right. I appreciate the questions.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, not for me.
Thanks, Lou. KD?
Hey, 2 questions. One, for the high school PE, that 9th grade plus the 2 other PE classes, is that 1.5 credits total that the students need to earn? Okay.
And then they get another half credit in health.
Okay.
2 full credits.
And great. I love that we're aligning to the national standards of the Shape America standards. Have you? Are we planning any professional learning with Shape America in order to implement this?
So we've got faculty who've been going to national and state conferences with Shape for the last 3 years. And so we continue to sort of engage the faculty in that work and helping to reimagine sort of physical education through that lens.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have the okay of the Academic Affairs Committee to move forward these K through 12 course overviews in physical education?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Not to be outdone was finishing up, oopsie, there we go. For those of you who've been with us, last year we brought forward K through 8 STEM and STEELS revision for our K through 8 STEM courses or technology courses at the 3 schools. We continued to work on our high school career sort of studies version, looking at computer science, technology, engineering, and applied mathematics. I know Dr. Scragan is going to tell me that their department is not called career studies, which is why he's giggling at me. But that's what I wrote down because it was on a piece of paper. And so that's what I thought it was. But now he's telling me that there's a different name for it. So I might have to change some of these words later, but it's only about the holistic of those. It's the same people teaching the exact same course, but what we call it seems to keep changing by the hour. And so is that right, Dr. Scragan? Yeah. These future-focused career readiness opportunities in technology and science and STEM. At any rate, this department is a department of 1 and a little. Kate Whitaker is our primary computer science and technology teacher at the high school. She's fantastic, and these courses came from her. She's been to this board several times, bringing forward some of our dual enrollment classes that we now do with Pitt. But this codifies some of the other courses, and she actually, as a result of her curriculum review reflection, recommended a new course, and then we really wanted to continue to build out sort of our opportunities for engineering. We have a lot of kids who believe they're interested in engineering, but they had actually never had an engineering or engineering-like course, and so we felt like it was really important that we bring that to light in a way that helped them to consider career paths. Dr. Scragan, you're going to interrupt me anytime since these are all high school courses if you want to add anything, right? If I missed something, okay, you nodded your head. So across these courses that I'm going to present to you, I have 6 for you. Engineering and computational skills, using real world challenges. Like all of these courses are really grounded in real world. And the idea of building on what we did K-8, which is creating, testing, and refining solutions. That this isn't about technology per se. It's about the analytical thinking of trying something, designing it, and then seeing what happens, and then refining the process. And really being able to communicate ideas clearly and recognizing all the impacts technology and design have on so many aspects, not only in these courses, but across their courses. And then one of the things that we think is really important in these technology-based courses is the idea of using feedback and reflection. Why didn't that work? What could we do differently? How might we be able to shift the design? And really having students own that autonomy and that agency to figure that out along the way. So that's the overarching theme. These courses fell into 2 camps, more traditional computer science classes. I have 2 of those for you. And then we have sort of 4 that fall into more design and engineering. So the 2 sort of traditional computer science classes, computer programming, learning to code in real time, a very popular way to meet the computer science requirement that our students have, and then building that out using logic and functions. Again, Mrs. Whitaker was here not that long ago about this course because we reviewed it not that long ago as we brought in new technology and a new textbook. But this was her final review of that course and finishing that out. And that course is available to any student in grades 9 through 12. Once you've taken an introductory course, you're eligible to take something like game design. And so she has a course that allows students to understand how to design games, understanding the systems and rules, not only of the game, but how to do that in the system. And then using that idea of design thinking. And a word that was new to me, which was play testing, and exploring how those games manifest in cultural, social, and global artifacts. So creating ways that are different as students explore the content that helps run computer games and such. So that is the links to those 2 courses. And in her review, she and Mr. Collier, who's teaching one of the courses we're going to talk about in a second, felt like we didn't have a launch pad as an introduction to the idea of engineering. And so she really created, which is a math elective because Mrs. Whitaker is certified in mathematics also. This one actually is both a math course and a computer science and engineering course, which is the idea of how do you design something in order to solve a problem. And so that's what this course really does. And then being able to document and explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you got there, and how you're refining it. So this will be a new half-credit elective we'd be introducing into the high school next year. Dr. Scragan, did I get all the key ideas? We've had a robotics class for a number of years. This just revised that course and really made sure it was STEELS aligned, where students are literally designing, building, and programming functional robotics. Many of those students are members of our robotics team, or that's how they get started into the robotics teams. They solve real world problems. They use engineering and automation. And so the idea that they could take that Foundations of Engineering course and then move into the robotics course, having some of that background information and as a way to get started in some shared experience. The other 2 courses, we currently have one 3D design and engineering course. Mr. Collier, the teacher, really feels like the students would have greater success if we entered in and introduced a 3D design course to start first, where they could get those foundational skills and then move into more sophisticated design and engineering. Right now, he's trying to do design and engineering all at the same time, and finds that there's just not enough time to do those both the full justice. And he believes that the students would do better given a little bit more time. So our recommendation is to take that course and we split it apart, and then added both foundational skills and then some more advanced skills into the second course. So those 6 courses together, these 4 in engineering and design, would help again build those career ready skills, really giving kids real world electives that would allow them to examine possible future career pathways, both in technical and industry, in addition to college. They're hands-on, their creativity and problem-solving based. And ultimately, one of the things I think they're most excited about is that future workforce needs. There is no universe in which technology is not a part of our future. And so they really wanted to be able to respond to that. High school team, given these courses happen in your school, anything you wanted to add or I missed? Ms. Whitaker and Mr. Collier also turned down my invitation to come and join our party this evening.
I would just say, one, Kate Whitaker is so awesome in bringing forth these ideas, and just, making sure we're current with the job market, now and into the future. And we think that this really does some of those things, particularly those career ready skills. Mm-hmm. So
100%. And Mr. Collier and Ms. Whitaker have done a nice job working together to really look at what our students' interests and needs are, and then designing these courses to meet that while also aligned to the standards and some future ready skills. Any questions, comments, or feedback? Oh, Dr. Yannico, I'm sorry.
I just thought for the benefit of the board, I would like you to know that all of these elective proposals are coming to you within the context of the existing staff. We are not requesting any additional staff in order to add these programs to the high school.
Dr. Aberly.
So is there a place where we can see the current curriculum as well as these additional? So what does the entirety look like? What are the course options that fall into all of these areas? Because obviously I know we have some AP courses, there's the dual enrollment piece. So it might be good to see, this is what the entirety of the curriculum options could look like in engineering or math or whatever we're
sure
discussing. It'd just be good to see, how those all stack up against each other and what the options are. I think that would be helpful.
Sure. I can add a visual and share that with all of you. What I would say is all of these courses are currently offered with the exception of the Foundations of Engineering course. Okay. They're all in the current program of studies. These are just reviews and updates.
Okay.
The exception is the 3D design course, which we're just dividing in, like we're taking what was an approved course and separating it out and going a little bit deeper in both of them.
Because
nothing else is really, that's the only difference.
Okay. But just in each of these faculty areas, there are other courses as well that we haven't discussed as part of this presentation this evening. So just for complete sake,
sure.
It might be nice to see, what
no problem
courses are. Thank you.
I will 100% get you that. Like we had talked about before, some of the courses that Ms. Whitaker already did coming into this, she did in the last year and a half around dual enrollment at Pitt. But yes, I will get you that. Thank you. Anything else for you?
No.
KD?
Thank you. Do any of these classes have prerequisites for students to join?
I think robotics requires the prereq of either computer science principles or, I think, without looking. Dr. Scragan, are you looking? Do you have the answer?
Yes, I do. Right here in front of me, I have the program of studies, surprisingly. Robotics does not have any prerequisite, although it may have that exploring engineering as a prerequisite moving forward. The same thing with our current programming, because it's 9 through 12, does not have any prerequisites there. And let me just check our 3D, which is under the math department.
I'm going to assume 3D will have the intro,
the
new
piece,
intro as a
Mhm.
requirement.
Yeah, currently
That
in the
would
book,
make sense.
it's math, algebra 1, and geometry were the prerequisites for that class.
And this, I'm totally ignorant of this. Does the high school have a honors weight of classes, or are they all the same?
For these particular classes?
Yeah,
that
well, I don't even know if it exists in
Yeah,
general.
so
do.
our overall within our system, we have AP classes, honors classes, academic or college prep classes. These particular classes, considering their electives, do not have that honors or academic or AP distinction. Although there are courses that Kate does teach that do get AP credit because they're dual enrollment with the University of Pittsburgh. So students can pay the fee to the University of Pittsburgh. They'll get the AP weighted GPA. We offer that for any student taking any dual enrollment course, whether it be ones that are taught here on campus or whether they're taking ones online virtually with, let's say Arcadia or Gwen and Mercy or Pitt as an example.
Okay. So these classes that you showed they're not like only for the kids who are taking AP Physics C. They're like
Nope.
Anybody can have this experience. That's awesome.
Anybody can do this.
Cool.
Eileen.
I just wanted to make sure there was one thing you said that I understood. You said that these are all, well, there was a lot of things, but this one I just want to make sure I get it. These are electives, right? So that means it doesn't count toward like a science or a math or stuff like that, because they sound kind of technical to me. I guess when I think of elective, I think of like fun stuff and not that it's not learning, but like I think of something that doesn't fall into those required buckets of science, math, English, and they sound like they have a lot of like critical learning stuff that could fall into some of those categories rather than an elective, if that made sense.
It totally makes sense.
Okay.
But I appreciate the view that electives equals fun. I would like to argue that there are many, many things that are elective and fun and academic content areas also. Dr. Scraken, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure can. We have 28 credits that students are required to have to graduate within the district. 4 of those are math. 3 of those are math, excuse me. Half is considered a career technology credit. So many of these new courses would fulfill that half career or career technology credit. And then students are required at roughly about 8 to 8.5 credits of electives. So they're still fulfilling their graduation requirements by taking electives because it fits into just a different bucket, so to speak. But I could see where you could think that this should be mostly math or mostly science. But it has a lot to do with the fact that Kate is both math certified and computer technology certified.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Aberle and then Dr. Yannicone.
You mentioned previously that there's like some courses that are like oversubscribed. What is like the minimum enrollment for these courses? Just because, obviously we need to keep an eye on if there are ones that maybe don't have or aren't as popular, that how do you manage that at a curriculum level with staffing, etc.?
Dr. Scragen, we spent a number of hours having this very discussion. Would you like to share our takeaways with our committee members?
Certainly. Looking at our staffing, obviously, what the quick process is that students are being recommended from their first semester course teachers right now for courses for next year. Students will be able to make selections for courses starting in April. And then when all that information comes to me, I look at what's considered a tally, and that's how many students are signed up for each course. Depending on department, depending on staffing, sometimes I can run a course with maybe 10 students Other times I would prefer to have more than 15 students to run it. So it's like a sweet spot because we're a small school, which is why I end up running the schedule every year. Again, we just don't have the same schedule put into place. We end up having students make their selections and then I get to go through there. Do all courses run? No. We do have courses that are oversubscribed. We do have some courses that get undersubscribed, and the departments are looking at that, wondering if, for example, let's say you're teaching graphic design, for example, and you realize no one's signing up for that, then you as a department sit down with me and we talk, and with Dr. Johnson talk about, hey, is this something that we should continue? Is it something we should modify? What should we do for the future?
Okay. And how does that work for like incoming ninth graders then?
So last year, and we're planning on doing this again, last year I go down with the counselors to eighth grade at the middle school, and we have a presentation with the entire eighth grade class. And then the counselors met with every eighth grade student to talk about the courses they were going to take, the courses they were recommended for, and how to rank those courses. We ended up we have to communicate better because we had some students decide to rank everything as a high ranking, and others just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that wasn't working that great. But it gives students ownership and that ability to be creative in how they can fulfill some of those electives as freshmen. Freshmen tend to have a little bit more compressed schedules, not as flexible as, let's say, a junior does, because they're kind of taking more of their courses, their core courses. Kind of like, do you remember when if you were in school, you were taking your gen ed courses, so to speak, kind of first, and that's what some of the freshmen are doing to get some of the courses out of the way.
Okay. No, thank you. That's very helpful.
One of the reasons that so many of these courses are, and the next part of the agenda as we move into the next section is happening tonight, is because next month, Dr. Scragan and I are going to bring back the proposed program of studies for the 26-27 school year. But instead of jamming all of these courses and the proposed program of studies into one meeting, which is also why the middle school's here, right, to talk about some of these things in piecemeal, so that you all can digest it and then raise questions so that you can see some of those, how we got to the recommendations we're going to make when we see you again next month. Does that make sense, Dr. Aberle?
Yep.
Dr. Yannicone, you had your hand up.
I did, just quickly to respond to Ms. Bell, and just in general, I linked the current high school course of studies into the chat so that you have access to that, which is on our website. And as Dr. Johnson said, once it's updated next month, the new course guide will come up onto the website. We actually had a great conversation with our student advisory at the high school last month about the course of studies and the presentation of these of the array of courses that we offer. But what I would say, Ms. Bell, and to all of our community members who might watch this, is the goal of the high school team and the goal of the district's Office of Teaching and Learning is to try to make sure that at the high school level, we're doing several things. One is that we're meeting state requirements with regard to credit count. Two is that we are providing a competitive, diverse program of studies so that whether a student is interested in getting prepared for entering the military, heading into programs of studies at Eastern to go out into the workforce right after school, or whether they're a student who has, the highest aspirations for the most competitive colleges and universities in the country or beyond, that they have access to that coursework while a high school student. And so I try to think about the electives at the high school, which are in every department, I would think, except possibly world language. It's the one department we may not have true electives. You have like a sequence of studies that leads to advanced placement, but not necessarily a true elective. But the idea is that we are meeting a diversity of interests and needs for students. And so, for example, while I might consider a particular course fun and interesting, such as a higher level literature course, because I was an English teacher, somebody else might say, no, I'd really like a gaming course or that 3D design course, which I would probably find a little bit of torture. And so it just, we have a wide variety of student interests and aptitudes, and we want to make sure we're meeting everyone's needs. So the goal is to provide that array every year. How'd I do, Dr. Scragan? Okay.
Dr. Yannicka, I'm glad this was recorded because we're going to need to take that and like put that somewhere because that like is a great example. Like it just synthesized it all perfectly. You said it great. Thank you so much.
You know, this is my first love as a former high
What?
school person.
I appreciate it. Any other concerns or questions around moving forward these course recommendations and these course overviews to the next phase for us, which is writing the unit, the curriculum maps and the lessons, instructional units?
No.
Sounds great.
Great. I appreciate it. I know this is heavy tonight, and I appreciate you all hanging in there with me. Dr. Scraken and I are going to sort of tag team along with Dr. Rittenhouse the next sections. Guys, do you want to lead the bus?
Sure.
Or do you want to get started? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for your time and attention, particularly our student reps. Dr. Z is going to take you through our proposed updates, this first slide.
So as long as we all have our seatbelts on, I think we're ready to go. We're looking at some pretty robust offerings next year and some changes. One big change we were proposing is to take our current ELA 9 class, or ELA 1 as it's called for ninth graders, which is currently a full year course. They meet every day for the full 180 days. We'd like to move that to a semester course like all of our other English courses. So ELA 1 would be a semester, ELA 2, 3, 4, they would all be one semester courses. We would like to do that. It would give more flexibility for ninth graders to kind of experience some more offerings that we have for that particular grade level. The second idea is personal finance. The state has required that all students have a personal finance course, and we have decided that we're going to put it in writing so that it becomes a requirement for students to fulfill by their junior year. We have many freshmen taking personal finance now, and they're doing well. Some of them probably really understand money. They've got some disposable income. We have other freshmen who don't understand about taxes. They don't understand about interest rates because they don't have that money. Makes a lot of sense to have an older student take that particular course, more experience.
2027, correct?
Yeah, it has to be by 2027. So that's why we're putting it in it'll be completed by junior year for our students. We have a personal finance course. You hear tonight that we're looking at revising one of our math courses, and that would also help and meet this criteria for a personal finance course. We're going to take that 1 unit of credit that students and freshmen have for their English, because they get 2 right now as ELA 1, and that 1 credit we'd like to divide to go to the personal finance because that's a state requirement, and then take the other half and put it towards the electives. So currently students require 8 credits for electives. We would ask them to have 8.5 credits. And in order to make this happen, obviously, we cannot do this in a vacuum without expanding our elective offerings, which you've already heard part of tonight. You heard part 1. Dr. Johnson, if you could advance this slide for us, please. Thank you.
Sure.
You're on a roll, Dr. Z. Keep going.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So those are hyperlinks that anybody will be able to go to see what ELA 1 would look like in the 9th grade. But because I'm more of a math science person, I'm going to kind of focus on the advanced algebra with financial solutions. That would replace our business math course. So it would be an Algebra 2 course with financial applications. So it's not the typical Algebra 2 class that I know Mr. May is on tonight. He probably didn't have this particular course. It's designed more towards students who would be going in towards the business arena afterwards. And it is NCAA approved, where we would want to be able to do that for our students to make sure that they have many options coming out of the high school and not just, one size fits all.
One of the other parts about the ELA 9 course is some of you, Ms. Aberly, Dr. Aberly and Ms. Bell, you will recall from last year's academic affairs meeting, we had some pretty extensive conversations around math sequencing at the middle level. And one of the things students and community members raised concerns around was whether or not students would have space in their schedules when they got to 9th grade to double up in either math or science. And there was concern that they would not have so. And so it actually had the most interesting influence to bring English teachers to math and science teachers to have a discussion about how do we prioritize key learning and setting students up for success when they get to high school in writing and different kinds of reading skills, while also providing them enough flexibility to engage in varied coursework should they have interest in doubling a course, math or science or something else, including our students who want to participate in the visual and performing arts. And so there was a really robust conversation between two departments that don't always come together, or three departments that don't always come together to talk about sort of what goes first. And ultimately, the English department felt like the reason that the course had been 2 full credits for so long was no longer justified, and that those skills were going to come for students because we were writing in so many other content areas. They would be working on those skills across their schedule, not solely in an English class. Dr. Rittenhouse, Dr. Scragen, does that capture that discussion we had with the 3 departments? Great. Dr. Aberle and then Mr. May.
So on the slide, you've got advanced algebra with financial solutions, and it counts towards the personal finance requirement. So it doesn't complete the requirement. So what else is needed if you do?
It does serve as the,
okay.
The students will actually get 2 boxes checked. They will check off a math course and they will check off a personal finance course.
Okay.
All at one time.
Okay, all right. So it completes that.
Dr. Aberle, it should be written satisfies personal finance requirement.
Yes.
Correct?
Right.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I appreciate you asking.
Good
we'll have that changed in the slide before it goes public. Mr. May.
So the advanced algebra with financial solutions course, would that, so if I'm like a 10th grader, and if I were to take this course, would that serve as a prerequisite for like a pre-calculus course the same way Algebra 2 would?
Dr. Scragen, did we have that discussion?
We
I think
didn't
so.
really have that discussion completely that far, but based on some of the information that's presented, it's supposed to cover many of the same concepts that Algebra 2 would, but not all of them. So I think we need to take a closer look at that to see if that would meet, the step up from Algebra 2 to, let's say, trig pre-calc, or probably to stat would be, that would probably be more parallel, I think, as opposed to trig pre-calc. But that's just something I think we didn't really focus in on.
The reason we brought it forward, Gus, is the math department felt like we added business math for students who did not want another algebra course. And so that's how business math sort of came. They had math requirements, and we needed to have enough offerings out, which is why statistics has become so popular, because pre-calc, calculus, and beyond wasn't for every kid. And we didn't have enough other math offerings. By rethinking this course, we brought in more algebra to build some of that confidence and stamina and that sort of abstract thinking. These are likely students who did not accelerate when they were at the middle school and took algebra when they got to the high school for the first time. And so this was to offer an option. And if they take this, they actually will have met their 3 credits of mathematics. If they choose to take a 4th, then they would be taking a different course. Like statistics, they could take pre-calc, although the idea was to create other pathways.
Sure.
Dr. Scragen, am I remembering that right? There's 3 credits in mathematics. So if they take algebra, geometry, and then this course, they will have met their requirements for mathematics.
All right. And then is that half credit or full credit?
Full credit.
All right. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. You're right. I don't have that on this slide. I'll make sure that that's added also. Katie?
So in this 1 credit advanced algebra with financial solutions, is that the only way for kids to get that 0.5 personal finance, or is there another?
We have the standalone personal finance course. We brought that in November.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
No problem. Sorry. Thank you for asking. That's most kids will get it through.
Are we going to talk about that later, or are we going to talk about that now?
We already did. We approved that course before.
Oh, can I ask a question about it anyway? Who teaches it? Like what?
Our business department. It's at personal finance.
Got it.
It's in our business department.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course.
Dr. Johnston?
Sure.
I think in advance of the February academic affairs meeting, it would be good for the high school team to get clarification on the prereq for trig pre-calc, just to verify that this course has enough of the Algebra 2 concepts to prepare students for that class. I think Gus's question is an important one. And
Yeah, I wrote
I
it.
feel like we can get that back to them next month. Because it could be a terminal course for students for whom that's appropriate. The question is, where else would they go following this course if they wanted a fourth credit?
Understood.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, Dr. Z, you're back.
Okay, so as we continue on with our journey, we're looking at some of the courses we currently offer, but we're looking to modularize them. So basically taking what we offer as a 1 credit or as a current half credit and kind of splitting those apart, so to speak. So currently our Intro to Psychology course is a 1 credit course for students. And the Social Studies Department has discussed and agreed that it'd be a great idea to be able to split currently what they have in Psych into Psych A and Psych B. And students who take Psych A could then go on to Psych B, or they could go on to AP Psych if they wanted to. So it's kind of a 2 different stepping stones with regards to psychology. They just find that there's so much to cover. And the kids really like it. And we talk about oversubscribed courses. We tend to have a lot of students signing up for our psychology courses. We currently have on the books a journalism course, but the English department would like to kind of split that up into journalism for 9th and 10th graders and journalism for 11th and 12th graders, because what students would be writing about at 9th grade could be very different than what they would be writing about at 12th grade, or their interests might be different. So not necessarily a course of going to this journalism course, then that journalism course. It's just 2 separate journalism courses for kind of different age groups. And then same with the public speaking, because again, what a student who's a 9th grader might feel comfortable talking about in a public speaking course may not be the same thing that a 12th grader might be talking about in that 12th grade course. So that's the idea about, you talked about with the 3D course as well, kind of splitting and developing a little bit, or modularizing them. Say that 5 times fast, so that we would have that on our books for students as offerings.
It also allows richer options for those students who are taking full year courses every other day to fill the other half of their day with content and meaningful electives in lieu of a study hall for those who are interested. Right now, our program of studies does not have a rich, we've heard feedback that there's not enough half credit options. And then additionally, when you take a physical education course, there's not something to sit on the other side of that, because all those physical education or health classes are also a half credit. So it's our hope that by increasing the flexibility allows students to have richer options and get to test some different courses before taking a more intensive and full credit content area or discipline course. Dr. Z, is that right? Gus?
Yeah, so with the journalism and public speaking being split up by grade level, I definitely think that's a good idea, but is there any concern that those wouldn't fill up? Because frankly, like, I really don't know anybody taking any of these courses. Like psychology obviously is a very popular one. A lot of people take psychology. There'd be no issue with that there, but I think with journalism and public speaking, like for you guys, has that come up? Because I just don't know how quickly that fills up.
One of the things, it hasn't been filled up, but we also haven't really had the staff to deliver it. One of the unexpected benefits of the shift of ELA 9 and 9th grade allows teachers to have a little more flexibility in their schedule, because they also will be freed up. So teachers won't be teaching a 2 credit course for the whole year. They'll have some flexibility, which gives us some staffing to deliver these electives, where in the past we've had to not honor the request from students because we didn't have the staffing to allow for it.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you.
And I think too, if I'm going to add to that, we heard from the students at Student Advisory that word of mouth is really important. And we're going to ask teachers to go into classrooms and to talk to their colleagues, and the colleagues to, talk these types of courses up. And I think, as was stated, if they're a half credit versus a full credit, there is more flexibility. If you're taking, let's say, AP Calc, ABC, or AB, right, every other day, you need something to back up on that. And so that's why we're looking at offering more half credit courses to fill that, as opposed for students taking the study hall option,
yeah.
right? And I does that help out on that?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. And so
I think that's what we were hearing from students, is that they didn't have enough time in their schedule for a full credit course. But we do believe that by adding these half credit courses and modifying it, and that was in response in part to the teacher request, but it sort of all came together.
Dr. Yannick had a question about, can a junior take both journalism courses if they didn't take journalism 1? So it's basically either journalism in 9th and 10th or journalism in 11th and 12th. So I would think that a 9th grader, technically, if they wanted to, take journalism in the 9th grade, and then maybe in 11th grade, take journalism again, because, maybe at that time between 9th and 11th, they're now writing for the school newspaper, and they're doing a little bit more writing.
It's a good question. Maybe there's some type of identifier on the transcript that says 9th and 8th, 9th and 10th journalism, 10th and, just to show this it's a different, not a different course, but a different level.
Well, they'd have to be coded differently too, so they would show up on the transcript as their own code number.
The
Maybe we
transcript,
just need to look at the naming convention for the courses,
the
gentlemen.
naming convention. Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
So, Dr. Scragan, why don't you take that back to the English? Would you mind taking that back to the English department? And prior to us bringing it in the program of studies, let's think about what we might be able to call it to make it clear that one is not a prereq to the other, but also that if that's true, if that's what you're saying, which is my understanding of what you just said, but also what is the way that we can separate them with different names?
I actually had a conversation with the department coordinator today at 3:00, and we brought that up. So that seed has been planted.
Look at you, on fire.
On fire.
All right, but of course, we're still not done. No, we're not.
And there's more.
Middle school, hang in there. I warned you.
There's more. It's like you turn the corner and there's,
more.
oh my gosh, there's more. So the science department has proposed 2 new courses. One is material science, which would be a 1-credit core class. So it would fulfill a science requirement of 3 sciences in a student's schedule. Also, they would like to offer forensic science as a 1-credit elective course. Apparently, in speaking with Ms. Sheehan, there's already a lot of buzz about forensic science, and there's a lot of buzz about material science. So we're thinking that's
talking these up.
Yeah, they're talking them up, and so I'm sure we're looking at hopefully having a good sign up with regards to those. They are slightly different. Material science is definitely, it's not true chemistry in terms of the typical chemistry class, which is why the science department really wanted to bring it forward as a core class, as opposed to just a true elective course. And then the performing arts department wants to bring in an introductory course to all the performing arts. It would include things like theater, filming, instruments, as well as vocal.
Like a taste to see it.
Yeah, it's like a taste. It's like this is gonna be really corny, but it's like going to the Baskin Robbins and getting a little wooden spoon and getting multiple tastes. So the idea would be to have that as a half credit elective and allow that for students then to start exploring. Well, then maybe I do want to focus more on theater, or maybe I want to do more instruments, or I do want to do more choir. So that will kind of help establish that foundational piece that the department feels is kind of missing. And then currently under construction, with everything that's going on with the concert and the art show, the performing arts did not have an opportunity to finish everything, but they would also like to bring forward an advanced keyboarding class. We currently have a beginning guitar and advanced guitar, but only beginning keyboarding. So they like to bring in another one so students can continue along those pathways.
We're going to bring that forward in the program of studies, but we wanted you to know it was coming, so it wasn't a gotcha. But they weren't quite finished, and so it's coming. All right, and last but not least is our big ta-da moment.
Okay, so we would also like to introduce a capstone diploma for students. We have a lot of students taking AP courses, whether they're freshmen taking AP Comp Sci, whether they're sophomores taking AP Psych, juniors or seniors. We end up having over 13 AP classes. I don't know how many, over 300, I think, tests were given last spring. So we know that that's a robust program. And the capstone diploma offered by the AP College Board requires that students take at least 4 AP exams throughout their high school career and score 3 or better. But then the other portion is a course called AP Seminar and AP Research. Both of those are classified as AP courses, but they're not your typical AP course where it's content loaded and then you're having a test on all the content. AP Seminar and AP Research are very different, but they help prepare students for what it'd like be in college, or whether you're having to do research for a presentation in, let's say, a pharmaceutical firm that you might work for, or for a law firm. So it kind of builds those skills. And the idea is that if students do all 3 of those, they could get a capstone diploma. If they only do 2 of those, they could get what's considered an AP Seminar and Research certification. So the idea is to implement AP Seminar first during next school year. It would be an elective course open for mostly 9th or 10th graders. And then the next year, we would offer AP Research for those students who had taken AP Seminar. They would be able to then take it as 11th or 12th graders. So if you're a 9th grader, you probably wouldn't get the AP Research to your 11th grader. But the idea is that we'd roll them out separately so that we could, build the momentum for AP Seminar, keep that going, and then next year we would run in the AP Research. And so, as it says there on the slide, that the class of 2028 would be the first eligible if they meet all these requirements for this diploma.
Dr. Aberly.
You're on
muted.
mute, Dr. Aberly.
There we go. I actually have a couple of questions. One relates to the previous slide around the forensic science course. I took a quick look at the curriculum outline. Is there any thought around including any AI components as part of that course? A lot of analysis is AI driven. And it didn't look like there was any kind of AI components to that course. It might be something worth considering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could certainly talk to Ms. Sheehan more about that. I know AI is playing a bigger role every day in everything we do.
Yeah, a lot of like, the sort of tests and analyses that were kind of highlighted in the course description. A lot of that is done unsupervised using AI. And so, I'm in kind of a similar field. So, it's the sort of thing that if we're trying to future-proof students, kind of like that introduction to, how do you do unsupervised analysis and what do you need to be concerned about, might be a helpful component to that course.
Great feedback.
And then just on the AP offerings, what is the kind of feedback at the college level? Like, what advantage does this give students?
So AP coursework, any AP coursework, depending.
Or like the capstone.
Just with the capstone?
Yeah.
The information that we are giving from the College Board is that it's providing students with some of those skills that would set them up for success later on in their college courses. Because it's an AP course, students would, if scoring 3, 4s, or 5s, typically, depending on the college, will give them some form of credit. This would obviously be some form of elective credit because it's not a major. Like, for example, if you took AP Bio, you would get maybe a credit in the lab or the lecture for biology your freshman year. But this would allow them to kind of start with that college transcript, particularly at the 9th grade level. And the idea is that this would be one of those courses that could open up the doors for other AP classes later on, because right now we only have one offering for 9th grade, and it's really kind of technologically tracked in terms of you're a computer person. This is what you're going to do. Whereas this opens up, it's much more diverse. It opens it up for more students, and they might say, "Oh, wow, I got a 3 on that. I can do AP. I can take, I'm going to go try this. I'm going to do my schedule to take, eventually get to AP Bio, AP Environmental, AP Calculus." So that's our hope, that it kind of builds that. I don't know, I guess more like, building up resilience for students, for them to realize that I've got the power, that I can do this, and not wait till their junior year to take their first AP course.
And are we putting constraints around it, as in, if you commit to doing the seminar and the research, you have to do both?
No.
You can't take research if you haven't taken
Correct.
SEM. That's a college board requirement.
So you could just be in the situation where you're just doing seminar and you're like, that's it, I'm done.
That's correct. That's how we initially got introduced to the idea. We'd been to I'd been to 3 or 4 years ago, I had been working with the IU on a number of things, and the College Board was really looking at ways that you could diversify your AP offerings. It's one of the reasons we brought forward AP Pre-Calc. It's one of the reasons we added AP Computer Science Principles, and also AP Seminar. Initially, we didn't have the staffing or bandwidth to be able to offer this at the time. It just didn't work within our staffing constraints, and it wasn't feasible to add additional faculty at that time for this purpose. But again, an unexpected realized benefit of the ELA 9 change, in addition to the quality and the reasons I think it's positive, students, the teachers are available and the students are available. The other part about AP Seminar is it can be taught by any number of faculty members from any department. And so there are some districts that issue it as an English credit. We're doing as an elective credit. We've made that the English department, along with some others. English is going to stay English, but that way it allows us the flexibility that right now we have a teacher who's certified in English who wants to teach it. But if we had a science teacher who wanted to teach it, they could too, because it's not discipline specific, it's discipline agnostic. So what's nice about that is it's a skills-based course. It's around thinking and point of view and perspective, and being able to sort of build evidence to support a claim and understand other perspectives through that, which I think, which as we click through here, is a little bit about more what that course is about.
No, I think that sounds great. Do we have an idea of what the uptake might look like yet, or not?
What do you mean?
In terms of like students that will want to do this?
We're going to have to do a sales pitch, right? Because students will be, they don't know anything about it. We don't have it here. And we heard from the kids themselves, and Gus can sort of reiterate that kids' word of mouth, either from their teachers or from one another, is how they sign up for courses. So for any of these, like forensic science and material science, the science department has actively worked to educate their students on how exciting these are going to be. So kids are talking about it. I'd love to believe the s'more I want to send them is going to excite them, but I don't think that's the case. I'm just going to put it out there that I have some concerns that kids won't read an email I send them. Not sure.
I think
I'm going to do a TikTok dance that might have a better chance. But so I think that's what we're trying to do is, some of the members of the team are going to go see the 8th graders and talk about this course, because it's a way to bring in 9th graders, and then to have the conversation in 9th grade courses to get 10th graders to consider it. I think there's a chance that there will be some 11th kids who are currently 10th graders who might want to take research the year after, and that small number may sign up, but that depends, because they already have very full schedules going into their junior year. So we're not really sure what to expect, but that's why when once this is approved and we can start to build it out in the registration planning, we'll have a better sense of where we are once we see the tally.
And
how'd I do, Dr. Z and Dr. Yannicone, on my scheduling discussion?
So just coincidentally, in the last 24 hours, we received word from College Board for AP score reports, and Springfield Township, kind of, Dr. Averly, to your question, we received silver medal recognition on the 2025 AP School Honor Roll, which we're certainly proud of. And there's 3 pieces there. Like, I literally just opened it earlier today, and that is 65% of your class of 2026 should experience one AP course before graduating. The second one is assist with college affordability by enabling 35% of your class to earn college credit by earning an AP score of 3, and certainly by paying for those courses. We appreciate that from the school board and from the community. And then third, optimize students' college readiness with 10% of the class of 2026 to take a total of 5 APs across their school years, with at least one taken in 9th or 10th grade. And we're right below that college culture score of 65%. It's 57%. And with college credits and college optimization, we hit that mark and, got, for those silver, gold, and platinum. And, the opportunity to take an AP course, another AP course as a younger kid will certainly bump up our college culture number. So I think that really ties in well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oops. Any other questions or comments around AP capstone and seminar? Are we okay to move forward with planning?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Phew. Dr. Scragan, you got through it. Right? It's something. Woo. I appreciated the tag out, so thank you so much.
No problem. That's why I'm here. Takes a village.
Last, but certainly not least, I have brought my middle school colleagues, although in true transparency, I told them it was going to be late. Dr. Aberly, we're going to have this done in that 10 minutes for you because I know you have someplace else to be. We're making it happen. As I asked Dr. Mangano and Mrs. Brady to be with us this afternoon for just a couple minutes because as they're not to take their thunder, but they're going to spend some time with you over the next few months talking about the middle school and getting ready for next year. So this is just a taste of things to come. But last, but certainly not least.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. I don't know how I can compete. Man, the high school just teed it up, but we get to be the exit, and that's fine because we too are headed to the concert. So we're going to try to keep this exciting and brief. But we did come to the last academic affairs committee meeting, and we talked a lot about our story. So we're kind of picking up where we've been. So this is just to kind of fill everybody in on the call here with where we are currently and where we're kind of heading. So just to bring, as our slide indicates, our program enhancements, we this year for 25-26, so we've made some changes this year and we're heading into changes next year. For right now, we've embedded music ensembles into our special schedule. We've really worked hard this year to preserve win time. And what that means is there are no other competing factors to be pulling for kids out of there. That's worked really well in support of our students. What we're looking towards for 26-27 is moving our staff into what we're calling our learning communities, which is another word for teams, and also our new schedule, which we shared at our last academic affairs, which we'll launch in the fall. And we're going to talk a little bit about more of what that entails. I'm going to turn this over to Kieran. Thank you.
And to kind of piggyback on Dr. Mangano, we had band and chorus that was taking place during that end of the block day, and we really wanted to free that up, which was a lot of our conversations with academic affairs last year. We were here in November, kind of talking about all of the schedule here, meaning academic affairs, about our schedule changes and we want to kind of give you a projection of what's happening next. So we're going to be coming back to really speak about some course updates and some program offerings, specifically when it comes to our special schedule. And then we will be also coming back in March to present the full curriculum guide for our approval. And then April, our goal is to be able to communicate all of this to our different stakeholders, our different community members, whether that's impacting specific programming, but also, every single student, our incoming 6th graders, our current 6th graders and 7th graders will be having a new experience, not only physically in this building with the construction, but also the schedule and our programming. And we want to make sure that everyone has a full picture and has opportunities to ask questions as we go into that kind of scheduling time in the spring.
Okay, I think this one's me, right? I lost track. Sorry, we've gone back and forth. For January, kind of some of the things we're involved in now on site is the planning and the process and the structure. So a couple things of what that entails is that our new schedule will require us some flexibility. It will allow us for also some flexibility. We're going to shift that learning communities will also require and have required us to do some staffing realignment. So I wanted to just kind of make mention as to what that's led to as a result of some of the changes we're making and some of the recommended actions that that are on par to take place. So we've already are in discussions with our staff and everybody's on board with where we're at, but we have one full-time faculty member that will be moving to the science department. We have 3 full-time faculty moving to intervention support roles, and we have 2 full-time faculty moving to our special areas to expand offerings for our students. Me again. Okay. So some of the recommended actions also have to do with programming. And again, as Kieran mentioned, we're going to be back, so you're going to get to see a lot of us, which will be great. So we'll be able to go into more detail about this. But another shift that is occurring is the language course. So right now we are, for 26-27, the shift for Spanish 1, German 1, and French 1 will move to the high school for 9th grade beginning fall of 2026. We put a little bit in here about the rationale for that. And again, we'll be bringing more detail about what that means and what's the implication for kids here. So the rationale right now is that this will allow students to accrue all of the world language credit for 1 and 2 and to meet their college entrance requirements at the high school. It'll expand opportunities for us down here for our kids to take special area electives during their 8th grade. And it will also promote ongoing and expanded student choice, which has been something we've been talking about since last year when we presented voice, choice, and really listening to our students with what they need. It ties right into the philosophy at a middle school, which is making sure we expose our kids, start steering them and heading them into their areas of passion so that when they're up for the high school and they know right where they want to be. Look at that. In enough time. Questions, comments?
Katie?
Hi. Thank you so much. That sounds really exciting. For those staff members that are going to be moving into new positions, what are they? Is it a staff member who is moving from something to science, or a position being eliminated, a new position created?
Great question. Let me tackle your first one, which was, say your first one again for me.
Are they is the science teacher, is there a person who's teaching something that now is going to be teaching science, or is there a position being eliminated and a new position created for science, for example?
In order to do the teaming, we had to, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but we had to make sure we had equitable number of staff on each team. So a science, a social studies, a math, and an ELA. So we had to make some shifts to do that. So we are keeping all of our people, which is exciting. And we talked with our people about who would be a best fit where, and then also certification. So we had to kind of take all those worlds, if you will, and make them fit together. So that's what's happening for all of the core content in those on each team at each grade.
Okay. And then the idea with the team is that a student in 7th or 8th grade, those 4 teachers have 4 different sections of kids. And so they know they talk to each other about those kids and so on.
Yeah. And know them in depth, right? To really kind of drill down into this is my hub. These are my kids. These are the ones I'm really going to know really well and do well for them. So not that they don't do that now, but we're kind of looking to do that even better.
Would that mean that a 7th or sorry.
Some shared experiences. And I think one of the things that we've heard from the kids is it will allow greater coordination, because right now this not everyone who has one English teacher has the same science teacher. And so as a result, assessments or projects are overlapping. And for our middle level learners, one of the things we've heard from the kids is it gets to be a lot, but there's no ability to coordinate that because there's 3 different English teachers and 3 different math teachers and 2 different science teachers and 2 different social, like it isn't an organized hub. And we think at the middle level, that will be advantageous to really build those executive functioning skills, but also provide a context in which there's an opportunity to have some shared experiences.
And I think it's like taking our fantastic staff already and setting them up in a way that will make them even more efficient and even have even deeper impact than they already do.
Well said.
Makes sense. And from a student perspective, if I'm a seventh grader, am I traveling with the same group of kids from English to math to science or social studies, or might I be with different kids, even though we all share the same teachers?
My goal as the person that will be setting up the schedule is to create as much variety as possible. I don't think it's I think it's important for that, even though it's that group of 90, 80 to 100 students, and them sharing those 4 teachers, but trying to create as much variety in their day as possible, because I think that's important and creates better learners with different shared student experiences.
All right, good luck.
Thank
Sounds
you.
like
Yeah,
sounds like a fun puzzle.
Dr. Aberly.
Will the staffing switches, will that come before the board as a personnel attachment?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because they're not changing, we're reassigning them. There's not new additions or subtractions. Instead, they're just being reassigned, like moved into a new position within the middle school.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Doesn't require board action, as I understand it. Any other questions or concerns? Are we okay to move forward with that part, just to continue our planning, assuming that the world language staff will be at the high school full-time next year?
Yep.
It is
Thank you.
miraculous to me that it's 5:27 and we pulled this off. I know it was an extra half hour than we normally did, but it is done. I am astounded by that. These next few minutes are rough. Like I understand that it's a lot of content and a lot of information, and I appreciate the transparency and the conversation from all of you on the board, and obviously from Gus and Jordana when she's here. Are there overall wrap-up questions or comments? Dr. Aberly.
I just have one logistics. I normally do minutes. I'm also doing minutes for policy, so I am happy if one of my other board members wants to take the reins over reading the minutes at the next school board meeting. But if not, I'm happy to still take it. I just wanted to throw it out there.
I'm happy to read them if you discuss with me the norms around doing that.
Of course.
I have not ever done that before.
I believe you just get a script and all you have to do is read
and
it.
I just read it. I can read, so
I'll be your backup,
Aberly likes to
KD.
smudge it a
got it.
little bit more, but
okay.
that's strictly speaking.
Should I do
is true.
different voices or no?
Definitely. If you want to put it in prose, that's okay. Poetry, maybe Shakespearean. It's all good. Thank you. No problem, Dr. Aberly. I'll agree to tag you out and pass that torch to KD.
Awesome. Thank you.
So KD, I will ask Deb to please put the minutes in iambic pentameter and send it right off to you before the end of the week.
Got it. Thank you.
Be on the agenda for Tuesday. Overall questions, comments, or concerns this evening from the members of our board?
No, just thank you for the work and the updates. It's very comprehensive and love the variety of opportunities for the students.
It's really exciting.
I just want to add, just for clarification, electives can be fun and learning. I do feel that way. I just meant when I think of elective in my head, I think of fun over learning first. That's all.
I love you, Miss Bell. I appreciate it every time. I love it. This was a heavy lift tonight, and I really appreciate you hanging in there with me. I'm excited about the work. Our faculty have done an incredible job of bringing these to fruition. And really engaging in thinking differently about how we might serve our students, particularly in this example in the high school, but our physical education team, sitting down at a desk and writing curriculum is not something that's typically aligned, as they will tell you, to those who have selected physical education as their career path. But they worked really hard to try to capture everything and design it for the future. So I appreciate their support, and I'll pass that on to all of them.
Thank you.
We would normally extend the opportunity for public comment, but at this time there are no public participants in our meeting. Not to be outdone by any of our policy committee colleagues, but we have 4 meetings in a row coming up this spring, and I assure you they will all be busy and full. In February, I will be bringing you the draft of the comprehensive plan. I'm not sure how I'm going to have that turned around by February 9th, but it's happening because I need to be able to post it for 30 days before it's due. So I'm hoping to bring that to you in February. These meetings are all virtual. The middle school and high school and elementary schools will be here with their programs of study and course guides. So we have a lot ahead of us in going into this next part of the year. I appreciate it. And if everyone's okay with it, it's 5:30 p.m. and I'd like to adjourn. That all right? Acceptable? Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everybody.